Hey guys, how you doing? I hope you're doing okay. Gonna read through the full details here. Um, the article is in regards to a lawsuit which has been dismissed, thrown out, which in and of itself, I'm not really interested in that part, to be honest. I will read through the details, there's a link in the description, but it's more the initial crime, which is of interest to me, and it's pretty dark. Essentially, a 10-year-old girl has been charged as an adult for stomping on a baby's head and killing him at a daycare. So the article starts off by telling us about a legal action taken in regards to the incident. So let's have a look through the article, and I will provide a trigger warning. There are some details about midway through in regards to the incident concerned. A lawsuit in connection with a Wisconsin girl accused of killing a baby in daycare in 2018 has been tossed out. The lawsuit, which was filed in December 2020, accused the Chippewa County Department of Human Services and the director, Tim Iska, along with foster care coordinator Serena Schultz and various social workers, of not giving enough warning that the 10-year-old child was a threat to young children. So a lawsuit was filed by the parents of a 10-month-old boy. The boy was named Jackson Robert Hunter. The defense argued that the injuries were not caused by a governmental policy or practice, and as such did not act improperly or in violation of plaintiff's constitutional, civil, and or statutory rights. So the case was dismissed. So as I've said, the main reason why we're looking at these details today is because the parents of a 10-month-old child that was killed at the hands of a 10-year-old girl, they sued these various government officials, the Chippewa County Department of Human Services, and that lawsuit has been dismissed. So that's why we're looking at it today. But the part which interests me is the actual incident itself. So I'm going to read through details of that. I'll provide a trigger warning at this stage. The incident in question occurred at a Tilden licensed daycare at, okay, we don't need to know the address. The girl, who's currently being charged as an adult for first-degree intentional homicide, is accused of stomping the infant's head so hard that she left shoe patterns. When first responders arrived at the daycare, they rushed the baby to St. Joseph's Hospital. His condition was so severe that he was flown to St. Paul's Hospital in Minnesota, where he was pronounced dead. A physician at the hospital later contacted police and explained that the infant's injuries didn't appear to be accidental. The physician also said that the force required to cause the injuries could be generated by a 10-year-old girl, and the physician said that the manner of death was homicidal action. Later that afternoon, the sheriff's department received a call from medical personnel, a doctor, attending this youth, and indicated that his belief was that the injury sustained by the 6-month-old boy was not an accident. So I may have made a slight error before. I think I may have said he was 10 months old. He wasn't 10 months old. He was 6 months old. So that's just a slip up on my part. Apologies. According to an unsealed complaint, the infant had bilateral skull fractures and bilateral subdural hematoma. A tread pattern on the girl's shoes appeared to match the patterned bruising on the head of the victim. And here is a picture of the boy. Jackson Robert Hunter, 6 months old. The girl admitted that she dropped Jackson, and according to the complaint, she complained when the baby hit his head on a stool. She claimed that the baby hit his head on a stool. She started stomping on his head with her feet. She reportedly said she then put him back in his crib and went outside to play with the other children. She said she urged the other kids to go inside to play, and shortly after, the injured baby was discovered. Authorities interviewed daycare provider Amber Sweeney, who said she put the baby down for a nap at around 3 p.m. that afternoon. She said the 10-year-old and two 6-year-olds who attended the daycare arrived from school and played outside whilst the infant slept. The daycare provider Amber Sweeney admitted that the children, which also included two 2-year-olds, were in and out of the house for short periods whilst the baby slept. She also said she spotted the 10-year-old sitting by herself close to a bay window in the kitchen on the day in question. Jackson's father, Nate Liedl, showed up at the girl's court hearing in 2018 to ensure she saw his face and understood the depth of the pain created when the baby passed away. Here's a quote from the father, Jackson's father. As opposed to seeing it as a 10-year-old girl, I saw it as the person who killed my son. And she, in my opinion, deserved to be in shackles or handcuffs. She's a criminal. The father said that after he heard his son was injured, he initially thought the baby would be okay, but then he got the news that Jackson had taken a turn for the worst. And he was informed that his son, had died. So the 10-year-old girl is currently housed in Northwest Regional Juvenile Detention Center in Eau Claire, but her case remains in adult court. So really that's the full article there. There's a link in the description. Such a tragedy. 6-month-old Jackson stomped in the head by a 10-year-old girl whilst at daycare. So we've got a quote from the father. He's naturally absolutely distraught, absolutely destroyed. He wants to see the 10-year-old girl to be tried as an adult. He says that he feels she deserves to be in shackles or handcuffs. She's a criminal. The medical examiners, they've considered it to be a purposeful act, a homicidal action. So I guess it's a pretty controversial subject as to whether or not a 10-year-old should face trial as an adult. I guess it's very borderline as to whether or not she should. My feeling is that regardless as to whether or not she's tried as an adult or not, I would think it's entirely appropriate to be jailed or juvenile detention center for the initial years, but to be jailed for a very long time. And presumably, forgive my flippancy, but presumably she's mad as a hatter. Presumably she has some severe psychological issues. Maybe there are reasons for that. Maybe she's suffered abuse within her household. I would imagine investigators have looked into that. But either way, what a tragic situation, ultimately resulting in the loss of a life of a 6-year-old boy murdered by a 10-year-old. So as I say, I'll wrap things up at this point. I'm not actually particularly interested in the lawsuit being dismissed. That doesn't really hold any interest to me. I don't know whether or not... I can't really make a judgment in regards to whether or not I agree. If the case ought to have been dismissed, I've got no idea. The important thing to me is the loss of the life of a 6-year-old boy and how he was killed, and by whom? A 10-year-old girl. I mean, it beggars belief. So, of course, condolences to the family, the parents, the father, of course. And also, I suppose, the family of the 10-year-old girl. if we presume that they were a good family, good parents, that they weren't abusive, then this also must be a huge shock to them. But of course, primarily condolences and prayers and best wishes to the parents and direct family of young Jackson. So I'll again wrap things up here. If you do like the video, do consider liking, commenting, subscribing, having a look at a couple of other videos. Thank you for listening. If you feel that you need a mental health break, if you feel a little bit down by these types of subjects, then allow me to recommend another channel, a friend of the channel, At the End of the Day. Bella does regular live streams on YouTube, normally for about an hour, 2 hours. She'd welcome a subscription from yourself. If you wanted to join in, you can interact, you can become a part of the community. It's a nice, kind community discussing various topics. So if you are looking for a healthy place on YouTube to hang out, then I do recommend At the End of the Day. But again, I'll thank you for your time.